Hello, everybody out there in the internet radio broadcast world. This is the delicious recipe with the Dell, and today I'm having a special guest with me there tonight. Is Seraphine, and you may also know some of the shows that she is also on this UPRN radio. And I'll let her give her a little bio herself there, Seraphine. Welcome to the show.
Well,
Hello.
thanks, Del, for having me on. Yes, this is Saraphine Hurly of Infinite Inquisition and Tripping the Void with your lovely wife and partner, Laura Lee, uh, who's unfortunately sick. So we all hope that she and your son get well. So they're not feeling too hot. So I feel bad for them. But yeah, thank you for having me on your show. Really honored to be here tonight. And
Well,
we always have fun.
oh, for sure. Yeah, it says you had me on one of your shows there just before I started the delicious recipe here on the show, and I really appreciated that. And as we say here on the delicious recipe, we're just going to go and find out what ingredients there we can add to the pot. And with my time that I spend on researching many different things and topics that are going on. This is sort of going to be a year in review and also a decade in review because also with 2019, we go to the 2020 and you've been well aware maybe of the Agenda 2020 and then what has become the Agenda 2030. Have you heard about that at all?
And which show are you talking about?
Oh, well, that was the part that was done with the UN with this Agenda 2020. Then it became the Agenda 2030 because they couldn't get things moving fast enough. It deals with I think there's about 16 different aspects of it. It deals with climate, food, population, money. Well, population is a big one there because that also ties into that Georgia Guidestones sort of thing there too. But what it all comes down to is that, as in our little triangle of higher powers down to lower powers that we have, is who is making up all the different rules that the lower class people have to deal with. Do you have anything about that?
Oh, who is making up the rules, or?
Yeah. So do you think it's like the UN, or do you think it's this massive cabal that's out there of the rich elite? That's anything like
what I would like
anything you don't want to say?
Do you want to know what I know, or what do you want to hear?
Well, what we have on here with the delicious recipe is we just we throw the ingredients in there and just tell the truth, right? The truth is honesty that you can't pay for. So that's the
right.
best.
It's honesty is the best policy, and the thing is I since I know that because you guys are family to me that I let my fangs freely fly.
Sure.
That a lot of things are going to happen and going to change, and a lot of people are going to like it. Whether or not they voted for it has nothing to do with the UN, as most people don't realize that your voters' rights end at that door. It's all of your world leaders and whoever is lording over your general world leaders, and so or who's paying your world leaders, and so they're going to do pretty much what Simon says, right?
Yeah, for sure. Like if any of the viewers there have listened to before there, that I have a big, huge disdain for George Soros and the Clintons, and especially Hillary Clinton. There, I figure that she's like the pale horse rider, and it was actually probably maybe a good thing that she wasn't the president, because they'd probably be in World War III right now. But
no,
that's just speculation on my own thing there. But that's a big thing there when it comes into in the topic there where we deal with here on conspiracy and stuff like that, is that a lot of people there are well, I guess I can't say a lot of people, but most people just listen to what main media says. And the thing is, though, is that you have to understand is who owns main media, like the CNN, which would be CIA run, and there's the MSNBC, Disney corporations and stuff like that that are sort of propagating agendas that to make people think a certain way. Do you have anything about that at all?
Well, on a whole, none of our media can be trusted, number one.
For sure.
The only way that I actually watch the news, because I personally don't have regular television, I am on the internet only. And that way I can control to an extent of what I watch and where I watch it. And I like it that way. But I go to places like, England and France. One of my favorites is Al Jazeera, which a lot of people go, oh my gosh, no. No, really. Because they don't sugarcoat what the news actually is. They'll actually give it to you without what everybody else's opinion was. Because we get an opinion of an opinion of what it's like a game of operator that went wrong is what we get. And we only get shades of what possibly happened. And then, oh, look, Kim Kardashian got a butt lift. Oh, my gosh. So we get something thrown in there that's completely irrelevant to shade us from wanting to know more about the thing that's important. Like, oh, so we're going to be killing people over the age of 75 now?
Yeah. No, for sure. No, that's I totally agree with that. Oh, sorry there. I'm trying to get both things that are going there. Keep on going there.
Yeah. So with that being said, it's like we have all of these red herrings that keep getting thrown out. It's like, oh, hey, in an impeachment hearing and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, Schoolhouse Rock, slow your roll. Because in case some of you don't understand that in order to impeach somebody, there has to be multiple votes, and it has to not only be from the House, but also from the Senate. And that's not going to, it is not going to happen. And you realize how much money this is costing the American people. So what is being covered up during all of this? Can you pull away from your mochaccino for a second?
that is a good point, because you know what? Because I think out of this whole part, like if we're going to go political on this, is that out of this is that the DNC has been exposed, that there has been a lot of stuff that's been going on that people weren't aware of. And people that have been funding the DNC, and like this goes all into the stuff. You can go into the Obamas and the Bushes. You can go into the Clintons. And it's really stuff that nobody really wants to look at, because there is such this media sort of sway that sort of like Trump is just bad, period. He's just a television actor and he's bad. But the thing is, though, is that he did what he's saying. He's going to drain the swamp, I guess, in a way, and expose all this stuff. And a lot of people that are in government are not appreciative of that. They're being exposed for having jobs that are basically meaningless and making huge amounts of money. And that was the whole thing there with that Clinton pay to play like stuff. Like there's so much stuff that's being exposed right now, eh?
Well, it's not just being that it's being exposed, because Nancy Pelosi, it's got a touch of the Alzheimer's. So I don't know if you've been watching too closely, but she says a lot of stuff that A, doesn't make any sense, and B, she does a lot of double talking. There's not a lot of foundation in the stuff that she's made claims, and that's why we haven't had a lot of votes except for on one side. And then you have all of this other stuff with all the random attacks on POTUS and stuff. It's like, I want you to part yourself and clear your anger of Saraphine talking about President of the United States and what's happening to, why don't you wake up for a second and find out this has been made such a huge freaking molehill, that what is happening that we're not seeing, because all everybody is seeing on the media is this trial or this anti-trial or the witch hunt that goes along with what everybody thinks that they want to see. And what I'm trying to tell you, and most people, is that there's a reason why you don't want to see Trump impeached. And here's why. Because if Trump gets impeached, there's a lot of bad things that can happen to you if that's possible.
Well, that's true. Yeah, you can see is that it'll make it available that whoever is elected next time,
we could just start swinging axes at him at random.
Exactly. And this is the thing, and this is one thing that I've always said is that magic. People always hated magic, but magic is misinformation. It's basically dealing with sleight of hand, misdirection, everything like that. And so out of this part, there is that, what do you have going on here for 3 years? First you had Russiagate, and then you have these other things. There's other stuff, like, don't get me wrong, says, like, I think Trump was a better person than Clinton was, period. But out of that, though, is that is not a better person, period. Like government, I think government, period, is the worst thing there could be anyways, because you figure government should basically bring forth the rest of the community and make things happen more. But what do you end up having? You have more taxes, more inflation, more problems and stuff like that, and you're always being weighed down as the person on the bottom of the pyramid, right? Those people that are there in government, they don't care about anybody else, period. They're in government to benefit themselves first, and whatever process they can do. It's just whether who is the person that's going to be in there that doesn't screw over the rest of us that are sitting down at the bottom, that take all the heat from the decisions that are being made up top. Can you see that?
So, yeah, that's the thing too, is that it even affects Canada. That if something happens to Trump, Canada will follow suit in certain ways because, well, if America got away with it.
Well, that was a thing that I talked about a couple episodes ago about a lot of people that even peers that I know and stuff like that, they're not aware of different coalitions and different things. Like you've heard of Five Eyes, right? Mm-hmm. And Five Eyes is basically a way to trip around the part. It's like your government is not supposed to spy on you and check into you, but your partners can, right? So you got Five Eyes. You have the U.S., Canada, UK, Australia, and New Zealand. Mm-hmm. So, but like I said before, there too is that Snowden had pointed out is that the U.S. government, CIA, was actually spying on their own people, and he exposed that. Whereas it's like with the Five Eyes, there Canada could go and spy on your people. There's so much double talk and ridiculous politics that are going on that everybody else is just sort of saying, well, we'll just let this happen, and they just vote for colors, whether it is an elephant or a donkey in the U.S. And like you said there too, is that Canada is directly affected by whatever happens in the U.S. And because U.S. is such a mega power, and you see all the different parts of it with their interaction with China, with Russia, with well, even with the Ukraine, with the DNC there, like Obama and Hillary Clinton and in that Ukraine deal that was going, and what's his name there, Hunter Biden. Like this stuff was never ever supposed to be known, right? If Hillary would have won, none of this stuff ever would have been told, never ever would have came out in the into the forefront. It's the same thing with Epstein. Epstein never would have been exposed if Hillary would have won. The Clintons and Epstein were good friends, and the whole thing is the royals would have been found out about either with their stuff. And you can go into a whole different rabbit hole with royal families and corruption and murders and pedophilia, drinking blood of virgins and stuff like that. Like, going into huge rabbit holes what they've done, but the media does not talk about these things because who is paying for the media of the main media? The people that are doing the stuff, right?
Yeah, but who's going to believe it?
Yeah, that's why the whole thing
Therein
is
lies
coming
the rub.
on. Right. That's exactly. So that's a big thing that's happening now with truther channels and conspiracy channels, while they're being purged off of YouTube and other platforms as well. Like, I think there's some truth in a lot of things that have happened, even with history all the way through in the back. But there's certain powers, I guess you would say, that are trying to subside or quiet or put a blanket over it so you don't see what's happening. Like, people don't know who are funding and pulling the strings from behind the shadows, as like even your channel there, the veil, right? Who is behind the veil and what is going on behind there? And if you know, if you go into that Clinton body count thing, they're like, 119 people dead because they wanted to look behind the veil.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the thing, is that when you start looking behind things and whatever, or if somebody gets enough guts to actually go and look under the curtain or behind or in the closet or whatever, and go back there, who's going to believe them? It's like with all these people who are supposed to be exposed for this or that. And I was going to tell you, with Clinton running, Clinton wasn't ever supposed to win. I want you to think about this, and everybody listening, I want you to look who was running, who came into running, and what happened. Everything that happened was a succession of events. She was put in there as a diversion. She was never going to be elected.
I think she was. She knocked out Bernie, though.
No. I want you to get your mind out of there and watch it for what it is.
Okay.
Some things happen the way they want them to happen, not the way everybody wants them. It's not some divine miracle that it happened. It's because it's being driven a specific way. Your votes do not count as much as you think that they do.
Oh, for sure. That's already being.
They count, but it's kind of like and that's not conspiracy. We've proven it. So let's make it look like you have voting rights for a second, and that things are going. Because if you were watching the polls and then all of a sudden it was a landslide by how much, and that's like. 2 seconds ago, it was by how much? That none of that makes. I mean, I'm not a Rhodes Scholar or anything like that, but 2 and 2 makes 4.
Yeah. So, do you think there? Anyways, I'm going to put this out there because this is a part of a conspiracy that I have in my own mind here. Mm-hmm. Is I think this whole thing, why this whole impeachment part is coming on there, and why that DNC candidates are so, I guess you would say, weak, is because they want to bring the pale horse, the agent of death, back into the running so she can win.
She won't win.
I think this is a big play that bring her back
$20
out again. That's why she's on this book deal about her 50 greatest women in history, and the 50 greatest women all did illegal things to gain power and do things. And she was even on Howard Stern. And she even I think it was in part 3, if you watched on YouTube, I think it's about halfway through, around the 10 or 11 minute mark, she says, all politicians are liars. You have to lie to gain power. And she said this on radio and going, oh my God, people just glanced over that whole thing there. Like, you got to look at that family and what they've been involved in. And like, I put this part though to my friends there, said, if the Clinton was a restaurant and all these people died that were connected to the restaurant, would you still want to eat there? But people still want to eat there.
It goes under specific and non-specific claims, unfounded. It depends on what people believe or want to believe. A lot of that, there's a lot of reasons why she won't be elected. And I can tell you that we will have a female leader, but it's not going to be the way you think it's going to happen. It's going to be something entirely different. I believe that we're going to come into a huge change here pretty quickly, but probably not until we have a few more gray hairs.
Hey, did you hear this thing here? So looking in a year in review, okay. So you have in a year in review, we have back in January, February time, you had this huge hoax of Jesse Smollett. That he was attacked, and he was by MAGA people, and then it all came out that it was basically a hoax so far. Anyways, it's still going through court, but a lot of people in Hollywood all jumped on the bandwagon that he was attacked, like that Taraji P. Henson and that white girl, what the hell is her name from that one show? I can't remember it right now. I had it written down, but I forgot it. She went on to a talk media show. I think it was one of the late night shows, and went out there and said, this is what's happening there. People are attacking people because of race and color. And it was just a false flag hoax. And the same thing that happened here in Canada with this Jessica Yaniv. Did you hear about that one? Yeah. This person originally, I don't care whatever you want to call this stuff. If you want to say dead naming or whatever, he's a guy that is transgendered in transition, waiting to transition. I don't care what it is. But he went out and he purposely found out immigrants that were doing esthetician work, wax removal, and he'd go in there and wanted them to wax his vagina, but he didn't have a vagina. He had male organs. And because they wouldn't do that, he turned around and he would sue them. And then the Human Rights Coalition in BC said, hey, that's not right. We support you, Jessica Jonathan Yaniv, and we're going to support your claim against this. And then later on this year, it turned around that he had to pay $2,000 to a couple people for putting them through that sort of turmoil that they had to go through, because they lost business and they lost their work because of this person claiming this. And this is the whole thing, this whole part about you're seeing going on, and this will be like even in the decade of review, is that you're sort of seeing this transition that there is no more gender, there is no more class of personality, everybody is equal. And I think everybody is equal to a point, but it comes to a complacency in the part is that you don't have to strive any further because everybody is equal, right? Everybody goes, if they play sports, everybody gets a trophy. Everybody is the same.
I think that's wrong.
So do I. I think that just leads to non-development and future goals being reached if you just have to show up. It's the same thing. Same thing that's happened in a lot of movies and films where they're trying to make things that are racially. Oh well, if you don't have enough of these people in here, this is wrong. We're going to boycott your film. But the thing is that people are detracted from the part is that this is a story. You don't have to have certain groups of people in there to make a story, and you've seen it even on TV shows where they're sort of bringing this culturalization of changing characters that were known for a long period of time that were a certain way. Then all of a sudden now they are in the alphabet gender group.
Or
do you see that
watching,
at all?
Yeah, or watching movies and going, oh my gosh, I'm culturally incensed by the lack of brown dog hair in this film. I'm going to sue. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's getting absolutely ridiculous. And people, I understand, yeah, you got rights. I get it. But
this?
Where's my freaking parade? You know? Seriously, everything I've got, I've had to work my butt off for. I didn't get to stand in line and have somebody give me a trophy. I had to work for that.
Right.
It's like, seriously, if it's a spade, it's spade. If it's a white piece of paper, it's a white piece of paper. If it's a black piece of paper, it's a black piece of paper. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh my gosh, there's not enough red pieces of paper in this film. I'm incensed. Oh my gosh, call the police.
Well, I thought it was funny there is because I saw this one post there that did you ever see the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yeah.
And then they put down screen minutes for each actor that was on there and what their gender was, and that they were causing a huge kerfuffle about that, going, hey, well, it's a movie, it's a story. Not every actor or character in a story has equal time. That's it just blows my mind now that this is the way that people are sort of thinking this way, is that, hey, well, we're this, everybody has to fit in. And there's been many things that have been said there too, is like, hey, well, you have to hire, or you have to have these, every race, gender in there to maintain your company. Otherwise, then you're being racist or bigoted, though. But the thing is, was that, don't you want to hire people that are the best at what they are? But if you're teaching all these kids to just show up and everybody gets something, then are you ever going to get the best? Do you want to have that as being somebody that's operating on you, cooking your food? You understand why there was trophies, right? And why, like in the Greeks with the Olympics, there you had the best in the world, was because that was something to strive for. But now if you only have to just show up and you're recognized, what do you get from that?
Exactly. What do you get from it other than, oh yeah, little Sally Sue or Johnny or whatever, or little parsley leaf over there? Just showed up and I'm going to give them a trophy because it's not fair that the other kids worked harder or trained harder or anything like that. It's that you just weird. Showed up. So no effort.
Because I some of my peer groups that I'm around there that have kids and stuff like that, and they're all excited about that. Hey, yeah, we got this huge trophy. You know what? I can give you a piece of wood. It would look the same thing there anyways, but you didn't really do anything besides just be there. So I want to go into another part there of a conspiracy that went on there. What do you think happened with Epstein?
He's just the one. He's the patsy.
I think he's probably someplace on the Philippines on an island there, just relaxing.
I think he became a patsy, and then he got out because somebody had to take the fall.
Yes, but do you understand? Okay, well, I'm not understand or whatever, but do you see how sort of this gets sort of tie in together with Trump being president and the DNC losing and the draining of the swamp and facts and figures coming out there? Like you had the whole thing there with that with emails with Hillary Clinton and that
press the pause button a second. So you're basically saying that all billionaires are pedophiles?
Not all of them, but I think they all. Experiment.
I'm just making sure, because your point's starting to be a little rounded there.
But thing is always that if I put this question out, I think about 2 episodes ago, there is that if you wanted to rule the world or to control the world or to do whatever you wanted to do, and this goes into game theory and it goes into a whole bunch of different things there, how would you do that you would dissuade the rest of the public to think that it was their idea and they were doing everything there so that everything would fall into line for yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So what do you think a part of it would be to do that? Would you think controlling media would be on a top tier level?
No, you would think so, yeah.
Right? So if you get groupthink, do you think controlling school education and what they're taught and with history, that would sort of get the sheeple to move in a certain pattern and they would think that nothing else was changed or get them thinking a certain way?
Yeah, as long as they keep them fat on McDonald's and keep them misinformed with crap news, of course.
Right. So as I'm going towards this part here, and I can see this coming up and happening there, because I think I talked a couple episodes ago about the RFID chip. Have you heard about this one?
Probably, but go ahead.
Okay, well, the RFID chip, there's a one place in Wisconsin business that's doing that, but also in Sweden they're doing it. And so what it is that the chip will have all your information, medical, financial, everything about you, period. And it'll allow you to access your home, your business, your car, your ATM, your everything. It'll all be on this little piece of rice that's stuck inside your hand. And you can already see this sort of already happening already because the banks have changed your ATM cards that have the RFID chip. Same with your credit cards. Mm-hmm. Now this is to get rid of that and to put it inside your hand so that you can remove your wallet or your purse.
Mm-hmm.
So are you for that or against that?
You already have it.
No, but the thing is that this is a part there is.
Oh my God, right? The mark of Cain.
This is a part. Now you're some channels have called it like the mark of the beast and stuff like that. Having this information where now you're tagged like an animal.
You already have been. Willingly.
Well, you have it with your cell phone.
You had it long before.
You can throw your cell phone in the river.
No.
But you can't throw a surgically implanted chip away.
Well, yeah, but you got to think beyond your human mind and realize that they already have all the information they need. It's just that you just need to succumb to. It's like with my phone, I can. You realize that the 10 and 11 can sense eye movement at 200 feet away, right? Turned off on the counter, right?
Yep.
So why would I need a chip if my phone can already pay for my soda before I even show up? And I would go ahead and be for it because I'm for a whole bunch of things that would already save us a whole bunch of money, which I've already written to the powers that be about, because I'm getting tired of being ripped off.
Okay, now here comes the twist in it, right? Mm-hmm. So now you have this chip, right? Instead of being your phone or your ATM card, but you have this implant that's put into you, right? And somebody there that can make a mistake and turn you off. Now you have no more access to your money, whereas before you had paper money in your wallet, you had services that you could go and access without having a chip to, and now you actually become nothing because somebody made a mistake or somebody purposely deactivated your chip.
Right. Because that wouldn't be something that they would use yet, because it's too hackable.
Sure they would. This is the part that's going on to this Agenda 2030 thing that is about marking people and putting people all into the system. It's all a part of this 23andMe, as well as this Ancestry.com, is to link people together that they never ever had beforehand, right? Like, you didn't know that you were related to blah, 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 this person, this person, this person, but now you are related to them because this other person did a 23andMe Ancestry.com and found out genetically that somewhere down the line that you are connected. See, knowledge is power, and power corrupts knowledge, and whoever controls knowledge and controls the information controls the low people on the bottom of the pyramid, or the totem pole, or whatever you want to call it, the people at the bottom. Now, if you have a chip, or what they're proposing to push through there anyways, is that now somebody else controls all your money. And I think I put this out there, I think about a week ago, is now somebody will know when you entered your home, who you talked to, who you paid the babysitter to. Now this goes into taxation. Now they'll know exactly how much money you spent, who you gave money to, who you received money from at all times. Nothing will be, it'll just all be tracked.
But if you're a good little socialist, you already are being tracked already.
Right, but this is the thing, is that this is what these tech babies want to allow to happen. They're looking forward towards this thing. People that grew up with technology, I think technology is great. Don't get me wrong, it does benefit, and it's good as a tool to assist in life, but to depend on technology to exist in life is the totally wrong way to be looking at it. But this is what everybody's pushing towards. Right?
Well, yeah, but at the same time, you can't stop it. We're already being overrun by AI. 3/4 of the profiles on that you're getting Facebook friend requests from are sock puppet accounts made by AI. They're teaching robots to be more like humans so that we can be, served a little easier, as they say, or be able to be replaced in certain ways, like AI conferencing. Like, I don't know if you guys have done it with some of your bills, but I've actually called several of the places that I do business with, and I've had to deal with AI, and they won't give you a human being at all. It's just you get to speak to a robot only. And it's really frustrating. But this is where we're going, because people either A, didn't want the job, B, didn't get enough education for it, and C, this is where we're at. We can't keep blaming billionaires. We can't keep blaming other stuff. We have to start owning up and going, are you going to stop it? Do you have a better idea?
Right. Well, that's the thing that everybody sort of gets into this part with this debate, is that, okay, well, do we just let it keep on going, or do we actually say, hey, maybe this isn't the best way we should be going forward. And you gotta, not you, but I'm just the collective you is realizes that all these decisions are being made in metropolis cities. They're not being made in middle America, middle Canada, where everybody just sort of
in Moose
exists.
Knuckle, Wisconsin.
Right. It's all anywhere that it's all in major metropolises that time is of the essence. Before moving back up here to Thunder Bay, I lived in Toronto. And everybody down there is pretty much go, 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 go. This card in here, card out here. Nobody looks at anybody. Nobody.
It's like New York. Yeah.
Yeah. And whereas back here, back at home, where you could actually walk and then you could see somebody and someone actually look you in the face. And
like where I'm from, too. I'm in Washington State. Like here, nobody wants to know who you are because these are all people from the big city, and you can tell the snowbirds a mile away.
Yeah.
You know, because they don't want. I go to the pool or I go to the workout room, and people don't. I say good morning, and they don't say good morning back. If I was in Bellingham, Washington, or Seattle, Washington, people still, nod. I'm sure that you guys do that whole collective, country nod. I'm acknowledging good morning. I don't have to say good morning, but I'm going to nod and say hey.
Yep.
But they don't do that here. They don't do it in a lot of because they don't. Excuse me. They don't want to be social.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm sort of seeing there is that most of all the decisions are being made out of metropolis type environments and not accounting for the rest of the people.
Yeah, it's a more sterile, non-feeling environment. It's like, but then this is the thing, is what separates is like Europe, and then you've got Canada and America. And like when I lived in England, like when I lived in London, or I lived in Paris, I could go to a busy restaurant and sit at a table with somebody who was already sitting there that was just sitting there by themselves, and they wouldn't flinch. If you did that here, people would think you crapped in their Wheaties. No, seriously. Tell me I'm wrong. So there's no sense of community.
I've been in restaurants in major cities, even through the States and stuff like that. And if you looked at somebody in a major city there, they would take it as an offense that you were sort of looking at them. And
what you looking at?
Exactly. Like Atlanta, I've been to New York, all through, like most of all the states I've been through, except for California area, but all through Canada, I've been through everywhere. But it always seems to be is that every major city or major population that's like over or close to 1 million plus is that when you go out anywhere or you're being around any public situation, do not look because that's an offense and can cause a fight.
Right.
Have you seen that, eh?
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, I have it here. Like when I had my long black hair, I had some chick at Walmart pull my ponytail. Like yank it. And then I looked at her like, "Excuse me?" And then she was all like, "What?" And I'm like, if she didn't see the bulge in my inside pocket, I think that it would have been going down in the parking lot.
Right. See, but pretty soon there is that all you have to do is have a little scanner on your phone, and you can say, "Hey, well, that was Mary Sue, who was a guy that's now a girl, and she won the Olympic record for weightlifting, and we can go and dox this person because we got her scan material because she's been chipped." See how this elevates and goes in a different direction?
Yeah, but they still do it.
Yeah, but the thing is that people don't. I guess the part that I'm sort of getting to is that these new generation, Gen X, I call them tech babies and whatever they are, they don't realize what anonymity they're giving away. They're just like your rights, your everything that you want to keep personal, your privacy. They're just freely just giving it away. And I didn't really realize this at the beginning when I first started getting on the internet, but afterwards, like, and it's been said many, many times though, when you say, okay, what you are actually giving away, like YouTube just got fined their $172 million for cooking kids under 12 years old and using that as advertising potential.
Analyticals. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've mentioned this to friends of mine and stuff like that. I said, did you hear about that? Nope. Guess what? Media covered it up and just pushed it away. But because the big story was impeachment, Russiagate, everything else that's going on there, all the stuff that's going on behind the scenes that are actually being big stories that are impacting personal life, it's just like I said, it's all magic, deception, manipulation, and people are just letting it just go through and allowing it to happen. And what happens in the US always happens in Canada, and it happens in other places around the world too. It just might take like 6 months to a year later, but it all travels through because money dictates everything that's going on, and the pyramid always falls down to the bottom floor.
Yeah, it just depends on the way you look at the outlook of things. I mean, you have to realize that within yourself there is some power to turn some things around, but some things are inevitable. Like we have to deal with our population explosion and things like that. And it makes you
population?
Wonder.
See that population explosion, I have a problem with that, because is that just propaganda? There is no part there that's saying there anyways there's a propaganda explosion. There might be problems with big companies dealing with food issues, but it's the whole thing, even with this climate change with Greta Thunberg, that puppet that was working for whatever. It's like there's just so much mass hysteria of nothingness that people get all lit up for. Like, do you believe that this global warming thing is actually a big issue that's impacting things, but governments are still building huge financial structures and infrastructure on coastlines that would be underwater in 5 to 10 years?
All I can tell you is that something really big is coming that they are trying to have us not see. And with all of the things that are being said, or all of the things that are being assumed could happen, that they're thinking about population, they're thinking about you already realize that our weather is being controlled. It's been being controlled for years, since the 30s. They've been working on HARP. It's no secret that they can pretty much do what they want. They could obliterate states. They could take out hundreds of thousands of people in a day if they wanted to.
Well, Dubai has a thing there where they have the rain turns on once a week there, and it's proven, it's documented, and they do that. Weather manipulation. China's doing the same thing as well, and influencing jet streams. That's all well and documented.
Oh yeah.
MIT has already written articles on how the government in the U.S. is manipulating weather systems, and what they're doing is called additives in fuel. And people say, oh no, it's not sprayers off of planes. No, it's in the fuel itself. And that's where the stuff is coming through there. People don't pick up these little points and they go, oh, well, they're not spraying it with an actual bottle. No, it's in the additives that's being there. It's been the whole thing, even with fluoride. Fluoride is a toxin. And what does it do? It goes and messes with people's brains. Like, these are all proven things, but people think that's conspiracy. No, they wouldn't do that. We don't want to dumb down the population. But yes, they do.
Yeah, and at the same time, this is why truther channels are getting axed and people are getting arrested and people are disappearing, is because they're trying to blame truther channels for homeland terrorism.
Yeah.
And we can prove that it's actually happened. And so now they're using it as a ploy to get everybody out of the game or try to make it controllable. So you have to ask yourself, is it something that I can talk about? Is it something, do I look like I could be a social dissident? Do I care whether or not I'm a social dissident? Do I want to look like an international terrorist on national, this or that? Things like that are going to begin to matter, and it doesn't matter whether you have a chip in your hand or a stick up your butt. The government, one way or the other, is going to nip you for something, and you're going to get stapled either social dissident. Are you going to be cooperative, or are they going to have to watch you extra closely? See.
Well, that's already happening already. They're
well, I already know that, but this is the thing that you need to ask yourself every time you come on to talk about something. It's just going to get worse.
for me, I don't care, because there's nothing they can take from me that I don't already have. Because
Canada started it. I mean, it started in China, but then Canada decided that if you talk anything bad about anything political, you could potentially go to jail. And
that's true there. Yeah, even with this guy that we have there running the country there, whether or not he's Fidel Castro's real son or not, we don't know. But
wow.
Well, you don't know that about where his mother was there when he was conceived. She was in Cuba, hanging around Fidel Castro and the Rolling Stones. These are timeline facts. Like, you go, okay, well, there's possibilities. Possibilities could be true.
Mick Jagger
or Fidel Castro could be a possibility. There's timeline pictures and stuff like that all put everything together. But see, that's the thing is that if you say anything about that, well, then what? It says, hey, I'm just putting an opinion. But in the day now that we have with these triggered tech babies out there now, feelings mean more than facts and reality.
Oh, but you're not supposed to have the feels.
That's what they're trying to weed out now. That's what they get taught in school. Don't have feelings. Everybody is equal. Everybody shows up. Everybody gets the same prize.
Everybody gets to be a little gray alien.
Right, and that's the way it's going. See, this is the whole part that's going. It's all a huge slow process that's going through, and you don't realize what's happening until afterwards. You go, oh my God! Now I'm paying $40 for a fishing license where I never had to pay $40 for a fishing license before. But the $40 is not going to anything to benefit fishing. That's just crazy stuff. Taxes, everything, inflation, and craziness.
Yeah, it's getting ridiculous.
Anyways, this has been a great, interesting show here with you, Saraphine. I'm glad to have you on here, and I'm glad you reciprocated and came on here for my first guest.
Well, thank you for having me, though.
And at the end of the year, I got you on here, so you're the first guest at the beginning of the series of the delicious recipe, and I'm glad that you were here. I wish we could have grabbed my wife to jump on here, but she's dealing with a cold there too.
Yeah, poor thing.
It would have been good to hear her perspective too, because we don't agree on everything either, but we agree on some things.
Agree to disagree. That's what makes your relationship lively.
Yes, that is true. But as we end out the year here on December 30th, and I have my little fire there burning in the background, my Yule log burning on the TV with the technology that I paid for, that I wasn't given or implanted with. I want to say thank you very much Saraphine, for being on here. And you can check out your shows when I plug them. What days they are?
My shows are Monday. I've got Tripping the Void and Paranormal X. I mean, I got that backwards. I have Infinite Inquisition, which is at 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, and Paranormal X Hour with Dr. John DeSalvo at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on uprntalkradio.com, 107.7 FM. And then on Tuesdays, I have Tripping the Void with your lovely wife and my best friend, Lauralee Podfin. And normally she has her awesome show, The Angel Rock, right after you here. And
yeah, but she's sick tonight, so
she's not feeling well.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
Get better, Laura.
Yes, I will. And thank you very much again for being on here. And I want to say thank you to Joe Montaldo for allowing me the time there to be on here. He didn't have to do it, but he gave me a spot, and I appreciate it. And to all the rest of you that watch this on YouTube World or wherever else there, I appreciate you all. And I'm going to have some recipes coming out in the new year that go along with the delicious recipe. Simple foods that you can make that are super cheap and super tasty. So stay tuned for that in the new year. And to the rest of you all, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays.
Happy New Year. Thanks, Del.